Hello friends, we're back for another magical movie review with me, Magic by Molly. This week, just sitting in the same room, just at a different angle, because you know, you gotta try new things every once in a while. Thanks for coming back. I really appreciate you guys who've been coming around to watch these magical movie reviews after all of these weeks. Hope you're doing well in quarantine. I know that my face needs a good wax from my girl, so I'm looking forward to her opening back up. Wish I could magically zap away these eyebrow hairs, but you know, what you gonna do? This week we are reviewing Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince. So if you haven't watched a magical movie review before, I definitely recommend going back and watching the other Harry Potter movie reviews. While you're there, go ahead and subscribe. And then, of course, make sure that you are commenting below any of your thoughts about the movie as well. If you haven't been to a magical movie review before, or if it's been a while, welcome back. We break things down into 5 major sections. We've got the magical recap, which I tried to bring you the summary of the plot as quickly as I can. Then we also dive into magical moments, which are things that I really enjoy about the movie or kind of bring a spark of joy into my life. But then we also talk about enchanting efforts, which is a list of things that just didn't land well with me or leave big question marks over my head. Then we elect a VMP, or a very magical person, and we'll top it all off with the movie rankings of my personal preferences thus far. I tend to wear something Harry Potter-esque, and so far all of the movie reviews that I've done so far have had a particular t-shirt in my wardrobe that is perfect for the occasion, because my uniform is graphic tees and athletic pants, which is what I'm wearing right now. But I didn't really have one for Half-Blood Prince, but I did just get this shirt from YOLO So Co. I'll put a link to their site or their Instagram, whatever is easier, for orders. I'll put that down below so that you guys can head on over to their page. They do a lot of pop-up shops. In this last pop-up, they did a big Wizarding World haul, so I got a lot of cool stuff from them. So I figured I'd rep my house pride, my Hufflepuffs, since we don't get enough love as it is. So we'll just dive right into the magical recap. Now again, I'm bringing you the quickest summary of the plot that I possibly can. This one is really difficult. We may be going longer than the 30-45 second rule. Sorry, not sorry, because Harry Potter's complicated. Harry and Dumbledore recruit an old potions teacher back to Hogwarts because apparently he has secrets. Harry goes to the Burrow to spend the rest of the summer with his friends. They all go to Diagon Alley and spot Draco doing something shifty in Borgin and Burke's. Harry then goes back to school on the Hogwarts Express and is like a little stalkerish towards Draco after that, but you know, it's fine. All of a sudden, Harry and Ginny are in love as well. Harry starts taking potions with his new professor while finding an old book that used to belong to the Half-Blood Prince that all of a sudden makes Harry a potions master. Harry and Dumbledore continue to meet in secret and learn more about Tom Riddle, aka Voldemort, while Draco still does shifty things on a mission of his own in the Room of Requirement with this weird cabinet. Dumbledore and Harry find out about Horcruxes through the old potions master's memories and figure out where to go look for the next one in this creepy cave. They get what they think is a Horcrux, come back to school, all to find that Draco, mission accomplished, is waiting in the astronomy tower for Dumbledore and has led a bunch of Death Eaters into the school through said cabinet. Dumbledore tells Harry to hide and not to come out. Of course, then Snape pops out of nowhere, murders Dumbledore, reveals to Harry that he's the Half-Blood Prince all along, and then just walks away. Harry's super pissed about that, and then the fact that the Horcrux that they found was a fake. So he, Hermione, and Ron decide not to come back next year and to hunt Horcruxes instead to finish out old Dumby's mission. This movie definitely has a lot of intertwining plot lines. I'd say more than some of the other movies, kind of going back to Prisoner of Azkaban-esque feeling, for me at least. So writing the plot in such a like shortened version is very complicated when there's so many things that you can't leave out, like Draco. You can't ignore his part because his part is very important towards the end of the movie and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, there you go. So for magical moments, I'll just start out by saying that as we were watching the movie, I just remembered how much I loved it, and every time I watch it, I love it more and more. There are so many moments throughout the film that just make me smile or make me giggle. References, a lot of new magical artifacts that are popping up. So for example, I'm thinking Felix Felicis, that's a new potion, and the love potion that we're not used to working with before, since we're going into advanced potion making with the students. That's really, really fun, and of course one of the reasons why I named my cat Felix, because we rescued him, so he was lucky. And the love potion, of course, just makes it even more dramatic for these hormone driven students. Like, this is the most, I would say, teen drama or young adult film of the series because of all of the drama between the kids. So the love potion kind of adds into that. And then we've also got the pensieve, which we've seen before in the fourth book or the fourth movie, and we're really using it repetitively here to kind of learn more about Voldemort. The vanishing cabinet is something that we haven't seen before, and kind of figuring out what Draco was doing. It's kind of thought-provoking as a magical artifact. So there's so many new potions and references that are really, really popular that we're getting out of this movie in particular. So that's an overall magical moment for me, is just kind of the new artifacts and potions. Hi! Hello, Felix. This is my best boy. Say hello, boy. Is that you? Are you a special boy? Whoa! I'll probably just stay here, which is fine. The first really big magical moment for me, of course, other than just like the little things that we see there at the beginning, is the unbreakable vow between Snape and Narcissa Malfoy. I think it's just an incredibly powerful moment for both Snape and Narcissa. We're seeing some humility for both of them. Snape, who has been this evil character for the most part, like a big antagonist for Harry Potter, while we don't really know why yet, we know that he is so committed to the cause that he is willing to risk death to help Draco with his mission. And same for Narcissa, that above anything else, she is a mom and somebody that just loves her son and wants to protect him. And also, I just love the whole scene, like the cinematic part of it, like the two of them kind of just staring at each other, making this vow, the light, the arms holding, the light that's kind of entangling them together. And it took me a few times, not this time, but a few more than I'd like to admit, to really notice that the light rope is what I call it. I don't know what else you would call it. The actual spell that's wrapping their hands together leaves a scar, or leaves like a little tiny burn on their hands after the vow is done, which really kind of hits me every time, like the seriousness and how powerful this vow actually is. So I think the vow that they're making is so important that, like, on the evil side, the vow at its core is to protect a child. Like, I think everybody can appreciate that, no matter who the vow is, like, who is making the vow. Kind of going back to an overall theme or an overall magic moment is the dialogue. This movie is very dialogue heavy in comparison to some of the other films. I'd say that Prisoner of Azkaban is one of the other dialogue heavy films, because it's a lot of explaining, it's a lot of backstory, but in this case for Half-Blood Prince, I think the dialogue is so funny. This is the funniest movie by far, between the kids like shit talking each other the whole time, Harry when he drinks the Felix Felicis and he's just saying whatever comes to his mind, that's hilarious. Slughorn, everything that comes out of his mouth while he's kind of a dum-dum, he is incredibly funny. Like, he's a little bit of a comedic relief for the film as well, even though he's also such a integral part of where the story is gonna go. Another big magical moment for me is over the holidays when Harry goes to stay at the Burrow and he's there with his second family, really. We've got that moment between him and Ginny when the Death Eaters come attack. One, I think that scene is just incredibly done from a suspense point of view. I think it's kind of got that like action vibe in there, so it's bringing us kind of a break from all this dialogue that's been happening, so that's refreshing. But also, it's just really a showcase of how much all of them really love each other. So Harry just takes off after Bellatrix, who he of course is trying to hurt because she hurt him by killing Sirius. Then you've also got Ginny running after Harry. You've got Arthur Weasley running after Ginny and Harry because he loves them both. And Lupin and Tonks coming in to save the day, and they're all protecting each other. And unfortunately, all of them running after each other and caring for each other is a perfect distraction for said Death Eaters to then attack the Burrow and light it in flames. And every time they do that and Arthur Weasley looks back and just says, "Molly," and takes off running, I just got goosebumps talking about it. Every time I either get goosebumps, or if I'm having a particularly emotional week, I cry. I just love that moment so much because to me it says a couple of things. One, he just loves Molly so much, but also he loves her and cares more about her than he does the house. Like, he would rather her be safe than, and anything else can be replaced. They're magical. That's probably relatively easy. It's such a special moment that is so incredibly devastating, that they're losing their home and losing memories in that house. All he cares about is Molly. I also love this movie because it's giving us more of an insight to how evil Voldemort really is, but also why he is the way that he is. So kind of talking about where he's coming from, putting a little bit of a human element to the villain of the story, and of course the introduction of the Horcruxes with young Tom and youngish Slughorn talking about the Horcruxes, and Tom asking, like, can you split your soul into 7 pieces, is just, like, it makes me, like, the hairs on the back of my neck stand up every time I think about it, because one, it's hard for us to imagine, hopefully, murdering just one person rather than 7 people, and Slughorn, I feel like, is kind of our voice as the audience, like, hearing Tom talk about it, and his ease of kind of manipulating the person in the room to say, oh, this is all hypothetical, when in reality it's showing us exactly what is going to happen. And Dumbledore explaining that to Harry and bringing him along for the ride to view these moments, I think is really special, because this movie really showcases Dumbledore and Harry's relationship. None of the other movies have really given us that so far. Like, maybe we've had a collective of 10-20 minutes of Dumbledore and Harry time in each movie prior to this, but this is really showcasing their relationship and how much Dumbledore realizes that Harry needs to be a part of this process. And also looking back on it after watching the movie so many times and knowing what's going to happen, Dumbledore realizes that his time is about to be cut short because of wearing the ring and trying to destroy it, and his hand is decaying, so the rest of him is going to start decaying soon. So he realizes that he needs to bring Harry along to start him on this journey to be able to pick up where he left off. It's also incredible to see the exact moment when Dumbledore realizes that Harry is a Horcrux, because I of course have noticed it the last couple times, but I actually said something this time to Adam while we were watching it. They see the memory with Slughorn and Tom talking about the 7 Horcruxes. Dumbledore says he actually did it, and then shows Harry the book and shows him the ring and kind of slides the ring and it spins, and Harry does that weird like head jerk thing that kind of is an indication of his connection with Lord Voldemort. You can see the look in Dumbledore's eye, like a flip just went off, or a switch just went off. I think that that is a magical moment in itself, while also being a really sad moment that Dumbledore is making Harry his prodigy, well deservingly, because Harry's such a great wizard at a young age, but also I'm sure that Dumbledore doesn't want to have to bring Harry in this young, and also realizing Harry's fate in a matter of seconds. But I think it's appropriate. I think Dumbledore does it the right way, and the fact that he's giving lessons to Harry to kind of bring him into this world of hunting Horcruxes is transitioning Harry into adulthood and probably making him realize how much talent he has in defense against the dark arts. The next big magical moment for me is when they're in the cave and Dumbledore's doing his like fire whip. That's incredible. Like, every time I'm just like, Dumbledore's a badass. Like, Harry's about to get like eaten by zombies and Dumbledore comes out of basically potion coma to help him. What can't he do? I would say my last magical moment, and probably the biggest magical moment for Half-Blood Prince, is the moments around, or the scene of Dumbledore's death. His conversation with Draco is heart-wrenching. It's just like this huge gut punch to see Draco, who has been the school bully for all these years, who is now being called to save his family's reputation and his own life. He's only 16 and he's being charged with killing one of the greatest wizards of all time, and Dumbledore is standing there unafraid, just asking questions. It's humbling to see Draco stand there so incredibly vulnerable. It's a fantastic character arc for him to go from relentless, mean-spirited kid to just this scared boy who's just doing what he's being told. It's incredibly well acted. I think Tom Felton and Michael Gambit are just incredible in this scene. Their chemistry is really good. And then for Snape to walk in without knowing the whole conversation yet, watching it the first time, you really think Snape just kind of kills Dumbledore, doesn't really think about it, and it's just, we've spent all this time trying to convince Draco that he doesn't need to go through with it. Like, me, Dumbledore, I can protect you, Draco, to Snape walking in and killing him and sending him off the astronomy tower. Then when you watch it with knowing what's going to happen, or what the whole story is between Snape and Dumbledore, that really puts it into perspective of how painful it is that maybe Snape is just doing it quickly and getting it over with because they've already said their goodbyes. I think it's just a magical moment in that it's really pulling together so many plot twists and turns that we haven't even been introduced to yet, that is making this just really incredibly emotional scene. Okay, so while that was also a little sad and yet still a magical moment, I do have a few enchanting efforts. Things that were either kind of annoying to me in this film or just I have questions about. What's incredibly annoying is Harry had more of a spark between him and the coffee house girl than he did with Ginny in any of the other movies, and yet all of a sudden they're like madly in love with each other. Like, where did that come from? There's no relationship building whatsoever, and yet he and Ginny are in love this entire time. And their on-screen chemistry to me just isn't that convincing. It feels forced, and I'm almost wondering if we had had preparation or kind of relationship massaging, which is gross now that I think about it. I think it would have been a better reveal of a relationship. I don't know. I just think it was forced. The Ginny-Harry romantic relationship seemed forced. The other question that Adam and I both had was when Draco was working on the vanishing cabinet. When he puts the apple into the vanishing cabinet, says the charm, opens the door, the apple's gone, he closes it. Then there's a shot of Draco from behind, and it sounds like he's saying the incantation again, and that's when he opens the door and finds the apple with a bite taken out of it. It doesn't make sense why he would say the same incantation when he puts the object in to make it vanish and to make it reappear. We were trying to figure out if, since the camera was behind him, was it Draco hearing whoever it was on the other side with the other cabinet saying those things? That was just a big question that we had. And also related to the vanishing cabinet, why is it that every time Draco goes to work on it, he has to pull the tapestry off and it's like covered with an inch of dust every single time? It's like in 50 years every time Draco goes in to work on it. Also, does he throw the tapestry back over every time? It seems too tall for him to be able to do that. I don't know. It just, like, I know that they wanted to make it seem really dramatic with him like pulling the sheet off and the dust flying, but like it doesn't make sense practically. Like, okay, he did that already like 3 times ago when he was working on it before. Honestly, the last enchanting effort that I wrote down, I'm sure that there were things that annoyed me, like, of course, Lavender Brown is annoying, but that's like her character, right? Like, I don't think that that's an enchanting effort. I think that she actually like pulled it off because she was supposed to be annoying. You know what I mean? So really the last really big question mark slash annoyance that I had was, why is it that when Harry wants to go to Hogsmeade on just select weekends, that he has to have a permission slip signed by a parent or guardian? But if Dumbledore wants to whisk him away to a zombie-infested cave, they can just do that. I don't really understand. Like, they couldn't let Harry go to the village that's literally within walking distance, and they could probably keep a better eye on him versus like risking his life to get a fake Horcrux. And I'm sure it's like a special circumstance or whatever. It just doesn't make sense to me. This is like the chosen one. You all clearly have known that from the beginning. Why couldn't he just go to Hogsmeade without the permission slip? So that's really it. I in fact really love this movie. I always forget how good it is until I watch it. And I would say for our VMP this week, I'm gonna have to go with Dumbledore. I think Dumbledore is incredibly self-sacrificing. He is using his knowledge and his history with Voldemort for good. And I think that he's really polishing Harry for what's to come. And he's really been truly educating Harry in this film, and I think that's the reason why Harry is able to make the decision to go off and hunt Horcruxes for his 7th year instead of going to school. And also Dumbledore is just flexing on Tom in the beginning with lighting the cabinet on fire when he's got stolen goods, like in the orphanage. Like, he's got sass. He's hilarious asking Harry about his relationship with Hermione, and he's just like, I'm just curious. Just even more so knowing why he died and trying not to take that much into perspective because it's not part of the 6th movie, but can't help it. Just gotta love old Dumby there. I thought about my rankings quite a bit when I was looking at, literally side by side, I looked at Prisoner of Azkaban and Half-Blood Prince. They have about the same number of magical moments. I think Prisoner of Azkaban has a few more that I just happened to write down because I was more selective, whereas Half-Blood Prince, I had overall magical moments like the artifacts and the dialogue being so funny. I didn't write down necessarily everything that I wanted to. But Prisoner of Azkaban also had more enchanting efforts, technically, when I looked at the lists. So I have had so much inner turmoil about which one I was going to put first because Prisoner of Azkaban has always been my favorite. Half-Blood Prince is really sneaking up there as one of my favorites. It's hard to deny how good this film is and how much improvement they've made on the cinematography. The soundtrack is incredible. I like the movies for very, very similar reasons because these movies are very thought-provoking and very central to the ending and Harry's. I am gonna leave my original first place, but know that this is a close second with Prisoner of Azkaban first, Half-Blood Prince, Order of the Phoenix, Sorcerer's Stone, Chamber of Secrets, and Goblet of Fire. And it's literally like I'm even thinking about changing it now. I don't know. It's really hard. I'd say, honestly, if I had a points system, which now I'm looking back, maybe I should have come up with a more complicated rating system of how I was going to figure out which one. I'm really going off of gut here, which Prisoner of Azkaban just has so much nostalgic factor for me. If I was rating it on a point system, I would say Half-Blood Prince would be within like 5 points. Let me know what you guys think. If you want to help me battle it out between Prisoner of Azkaban and Half-Blood Prince and you want to tell me what your thoughts are and why one should be over the other, I'm open to ideas. Thank you guys so much for sticking around and hanging out with me doing these magical movie reviews. I've met so many fun and interesting people who have interesting things to say about the Harry Potter movies especially, but also for anybody who wants to go back and watch the Disney Princess series, definitely feel free. I'm still getting a few questions and comments about those as well, so it's really fun to see people finding these, and thank you so much. Definitely make sure that you like and subscribe, and if you are a fellow Instagrammer like myself, you can follow me on Instagram at MagicXMolly.